Hi guys, as usual, it freaking cut me off. Lack of space. It was a 13-minute long video, so I guess that was the amount of space I had left. I should have at least 9 minutes now. So let's not dally. So in my last video, I left off talking about how I reckon that instead of shying away from dressing up in therian or furry gear, or any kind of unusual gear when out and about, especially to these small towns like Ashton and Hyde, Stalybridge and Stockport, I think people should, dress like that to kind of show themselves off more, so that people can kind of get used to it. And you can be guaranteed that the more people get used to it, the more likely people are going to, accept it a bit more. Even if they don't accept it completely or not at all, but they'll be more used to it, so it won't be as much of a novelty to them. It will still be a novelty, but maybe they'll think, well, this is becoming like maybe a trend, and at least they'll accept it as a trend. Now, I know in the past when I've said stuff like that, therians have jumped down my throat saying about how, oh, it's not a trend, it's a more serious thing, it's, oh, teen werewolves, they're the ones that do the trend, they're imposters. It's like, no, actually, they're not imposters, they're probably really are therians, but they call themselves teen werewolves. Maybe they call themselves teen werewolves and therians, or maybe they don't know the term therians. Like when I started out as a furry, then I discovered teen werewolves. So I was about 18 then, so I thought I can't be a teen werewolf for much longer. So what term am I going to call myself after that when I'm no longer 18? So I went by teen werewolf first before I discovered therian. Then I thought, oh, therian is what I am, because a therian is, you can be any age group, but it's where you identify as a wolf or whatever animal or creature you feel a connection to. And I felt a very strong connection to the wolf. It's definitely felt right to me. So I am quite the pack animal, but I could also be a good lone wolf and be unique as well. So yeah, wolves are pretty cool, and it just felt right. And I feel that's what a lot of teen werewolves, I feel like they are serious about it. It's just that they don't know the term therian, so they call themselves teen werewolves. And to therians looking in from the outside, it just looks like they're just messing about. It's just a trend, it's, just dressing up. But I think it's more than that, because that's how it started out with me. It felt like it was just like, I'm not going to say a fad, but it definitely felt like, more fun and kind of like more of a novelty or sort of like whimsical or whatever. But it also felt really serious, like a really serious connection to an animal. I really felt animalistic, since I was a kid. So you get normies, of course, judging you for that, especially if you say it's a serious thing. And then you get therians judging you, thinking you're not serious enough and that you're just a fake or an imposter or whatever. And luckily, therians did start out thinking I was just someone making fun of therians when I first started doing videos. I think mainly because I kind of pranced around my garden kind of in this big tail here, and the ears, which are actually out there. I'll just get them for you one minute. I think that they probably thought that I was like taking the piss out of them because I was, going around. And I didn't really talk or explain myself very much. I just said, oh yeah, I'm a therian in my title, and then like I guess there was no context, so people thought I was taking the piss or something, which is absolutely not true. It's never been true. But yeah, there we go. That's how I used to, this is pretty much how I used to dress in my early videos on my other channel, my Royal Rose Wolf channel. So I guess that's why people were skeptical about it at first, but I think I earned their trust and they realised I was serious. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that maybe if normies just like you approach it in a sort of more whimsical manner. So you kind of go out and about dressed in, like just a small tail or just small ears or like a wolf hat like I was just wearing. And you get people used to that. And then when people come up to you, you just sort of say, like they say, why do you dress like this? And you could just sort of say, it's for fun or whatever, you know, I feel like people will accept that first. And then, like, the more people get used to it, the more you can kind of talk about it as a spiritual thing. Because I just remember that one time, I we just got on the train from my very first pack meet, my first therian pack meet, of a pack that I was a member of a while ago. And some people on the train, grown up women, they asked me why I was wearing a tail. They didn't really seem to be bothered about the ears. It's the tail that people seem to question me on the most. People seem to accept the ears because I've been out in those little ears and other various ears in the past, and people have been cool with it. They don't even question me. Most people like it. Most people smile, think it's cute and all. But I explained why I was wearing this tail to these women, and I didn't really notice it. My mum said she noticed it, and these people seemed to be looking at each other and looking at me like I was cuckoo because I was trying to explain theories to them. But it's a possibility, because my mum said, you know, don't bother explaining that anymore. Just say it's a trend, she said. Just say I'm just wearing this for fun, or... I mean, I told them I'd been to, like, an event, if you will, the pack meet. So that as well isn't, like, an acceptable answer. And I remember after I made a video or something where I explained this on a YouTube video, and my former pack leader actually criticised me for, like trying to hide, if you will, like the therian thing and not explaining it to people. I'm like, first of all, it's hard to explain to people. And even if it doesn't matter how much you explain it to people, they seem to not really understand very much, or what have you. You know, they'll still judge you. So it is kind of it is easier to just say, I wear this because I feel like it, and I enjoy dressing like this. It makes me happy. It looks nice. Whatever. Like, say it's a trend. Say you're doing it for fun. Whatever. Because it is fun. It's serious but fun. You know, serious as in, yes, it's spiritual, and it's not like you're taking the piss out of anybody, but at the same time, it is fun. You know, it is kind of like, you like the way it looks, you like the way it feels right, it feels, like I say, strong spiritual connection to that animal. In my case, it's wolves. But telling people this stuff, I don't know, makes it easier to digest and swallow. And that's like the first step. And then when people understand that, you can explain it more. Like, it's probably easy making more educational videos online, like I do, explaining what it's like to be a therian and why you are that. And, you know, reasons why you dress like this or feel that way, than it is to try and explain it to someone face to face who's a stranger. Because I find it hard work sometimes explaining things. So it is hard to explain it accurately to someone, because, you know, sometimes I don't even fully understand it. It's just something you feel. You know, like I say, it's fun. I like the way it looks. Like, there are people, of course, who think it's a kink and a fetish and it's a sexual thing, and it's like, no. For some people it might be, and that's fine. Dressing up as an animal or whatever. But, I mean, I just like being an anthropomorphic animal, kind of part human, part animal. Or a human that turns into an animal. I like the concept of that. I think it's cool. So a lot of therians do that, where they mentally shift. So they are a human the majority of the time, and then they will shift into a wolf form. Obviously not really physically, but they will. That the form of shifting is whereby you, like, get into the mindset of the animal, and you walk on all fours and you make the noises and you kind of do the mannerisms or what have you, and not talk. Like, when you're in this mindset, this headspace, you don't talk. You make animal noises of whatever animal that you feel connected to, that you're shifting to. And like I say, it's not cuckoo, and it actually helps people understand animals better. So if people understand animals better, then they're more likely to treat animals with respect and like they are living sentient beings instead of just, objects or pieces of shit or, whatever, So it's helped me, like shifting into animal headspace and everything does help me understand how animals think better. Because don't forget, we're shifting from human way of thinking, logic and all that, and reason, to the animal just acting on instinct and actions and reactions, like being reactive and stuff, rather than thinking brain. Like, we can shift between that, whereas an animal can't, I suppose. Some animals can, like when you're training horses, you have to get them into the thinking headspace rather than the reactive headspace, and same with dogs when you're training them. So they can do it, it's just that it's a bit harder for them, especially when you have this language barrier. You can't talk to them and explain things to them. It's a shame you can't do that, but you can do that with a human that is like us, like a therian, and who can shift into that headspace of an animal. You can explain stuff to people. Not that people understand it when you do half the time, but there is that flaw with humans, is that sometimes they refuse to accept stuff and understand stuff even when you do explain, just like I'm trying to say here, where I've tried to explain the concept of therians to people, strangers on a train, and they still thought it was like, woo woo, because they don't understand it, and they probably won't do any research, like they won't even try to understand it, so that's even harder. But anyway, yes, so I think that the more we kind of go out there dressed like this and try and explain it the best we can in whatever way you can try, even if it's just saying that it's just a trend or you just do it for fun, I think people are more likely to understand that and maybe accept that. And then eventually, the more they see people going around like this, and the more they talk to people like us who dress up as animals and wear accessories, I think the more people are likely to understand it better and accept it more. Even if they don't fully understand it or like it, they'll accept it as an integral part of society instead. So I think that people should stop saying, oh no, I wouldn't dress like this in Ashton. I think you should just do it, especially if you've got friends. Like, I feel more safe dressing up if I'm with people than on my own, but I think, well, I'm not always with people and I've got to be brave, I've got to have confidence, so I will just do it anyway. And most of the time, people are nice about it. Like the 2 times